Thank you, everyone, for finding this room in the back corner. I'm Joe Morotti. I'm a Senior Solutions Architect at AWS, based out of Columbus, Ohio. Any other Ohio folks here? Okay. I'll take it. So I'm based out of Columbus, Ohio. I've been with AWS for 6 years now. My customer base is all in the insurance industry, but on the AWS side, we have this concept of technical field communities. And this is where SAs, have something that they really like and that they really want to dive deep on with customers cross-industry. And my two areas are generative AI and contact center, which is perfect for what came out, around reInvent last year with the Agentic AI offerings, and then also a new announcement that happened at Customer Contact Week. So we're going to be talking about Agentic AI in the contact center. Nothing that Corey mentioned during the keynote. We're going to be focused on Connect Customer. And we're going to be talking about, what I'm seeing in the industry and, different ways that AWS is helping folks build out these agentic experiences. So let's talk about the traditional IVR experience. We've all been in this situation before. I'm in my basement and I go down and my basement is filled with water. So I call up my insurance company that I haven't talked to since I got my policy. And I say, oh my gosh, my basement is flooded. And I get meted with a very robotic voice that says, sorry, I didn't get that. You can say things like make a claim or check my policy. And I say, seriously, I'm sitting here in water and I need to make a claim? Come on. The IVR then, with no emotion and its robotic voice says, I heard you say create a claim. Can I have your policy ID, please? And I'm saying, are you kidding me right now? Please get me to a human. I don't want to talk, to an AI agent. And that's what everyone was focused in on for years, was this concept of containment. Like, hey, can we try to self-service this customer without it going to a human and start costing our enterprise money? And with generative AI, agentic AI, however you want to label it, that's completely changed now. Like, deflection is dead. And this is actually from the VP of Connect. He just did a talk recently, and this is the term he's saying, because every customer you deflect is a customer that your competitor resolves or that they get. So, everything previously was around, hey, we're just trying to self-service the customer, don't get them to an agent. When they call in, we don't know who they are, et cetera. But where we want to change that is we want the experience to be exceptional anywhere they go, whether they're speaking to an automated system, whether they're sending an email, whether they're talking to a human. We want that interaction to be great, because now I saw an interesting chart. It was like the number of interactions on average before a customer basically leaves your brand. 5 years ago, it was like 3. Today, it's now like 1.2 or something crazy like that. Just because the switching cost is so low now. And, folks are expecting these very seamless experiences. I'll give you an example. I called a local handyman in Columbus, and I was greeted by an AI agent. And I actually had a really good experience with it. It asked me, what was I trying to do? Like, what was the type of work? And it said, okay, Bob will give you a call back. And Bob actually called me 2 hours later and knew everything that I had said and knew about my job, what my address was, et cetera. And I'm thinking, if a small, one guy shop can create a great customer experience, why can't some of these enterprises do that as well? So thinking about every experience that you touch needs to be exceptional. And then also that reach. I mean, when folks have built out traditional contact centers, it's always like this puzzle piece of stacks. Like, hey, I've got a stack for email, and I've got a stack for SMS, and I've got a stack for my contact center. And well, my contact center has access to these APIs, but my tech stack doesn't. And when I move from SMS to voice, it has no idea who I am, and I start off at square zero. So thinking about that context sharing there as well. And that personalization, just like in the example, hey, I hear you have a claim. Can I have your policy ID? You know that person's number. That number might give you hints to who that person is or if they have a policy already. And it might already be able to greet me by name and say, hey, Joe, we see you have a claim, and we already looked up that your policy covers flood insurance. Let's go ahead and get that started. So think about that personalization aspect of it. And that's where resolution is king, not deflection. Like, can we actually solve the customer's use case, what they're trying to do? And with Agentic AI, it allows you to be a lot more seamless when it comes to all the different channels that we have. And that's because Agentic AI can reason. We can sit there and talk to an AI agent in whatever channel you want, and it can reason and say, okay, based off of what Joe's saying, he's in his basement with water up to his ankles at the moment. If I were him, I would probably do a claim. Let me go ahead and look up his policy real quick and see if he has flood coverage or water damage coverage. Okay, he does. So let me go ahead and start collecting that information I need for the claim. Well, I already know his address based off his policy, so I don't have to ask him for his address. I'm just going to start asking for particulars about the claim itself. And that's because, Agentic AI, you give it a task, you give it your tools, your APIs, and it's able to reason based off of what the customer is saying to try to fulfill them. And on the Connect side, from an agentic approach perspective, we've covered a couple different things that are kind of key to Connect's agentic approach. And the first is about AI choice. Something Corey brought up during the keynote that was really important to me was when he showed that chart with like New York, Illinois, and all those ones that have different regulations. It's very easy to build out agentic experiences for your enterprise, but how does that actually reflect in certifications and different compliance? There's going to have to be areas where either a human jumps in or you need deterministic AI. For example, like maybe there's a major claim, like someone's house is literally on fire. You probably don't want agentic AI to handle that claim. That's going to be something for a human. Thinking about things like bill payment, you might build out your conversational experience where, hey, I can look up my policy, I can update my policy, I can look up my claim status. But then when I want to pay a bill, I don't want that to be a probabilistic experience. I want that to be a deterministic experience where it's going to be every single time, 100% of the time, it's going to ask for what credit card and how much. And on the Connect side, we give you those options to basically pop in and out of probabilistic and deterministic experiences. And I've got a diagram that shows this shortly. And I'm not going to go too much into this slide, but from a customer perspective, these are the things that we believe customers care about. One is personalized and proactive. The contact center, it is changing now from, hey, we're just taking calls to, hey, we are the ones making the calls proactively. A great example you hear about now is with airlines. Airlines are trying to proactively reach out to customers when there's cancellations, when there's delays, and trying to say, okay, I've rebooked you on this flight, but there's also 2 other options. So thinking about that proactive outreach and that agentic engine being the one that can conversate with the customer and handle that. Maintaining that context. I cannot tell you how many times, I've started an email, I'm talking to some company, and then I call and they have no idea who I am or what we've talked about. So maintaining that context throughout. And then thinking about that agentic self-service. So when I say agentic self-service, you have an AI agent that can autonomously understand, reason, and act based off of what the customer issue is. Well, in order to do that, it needs access to your ecosystem. It needs access to APIs. It needs access to different tools that you might have, MCP servers that you have in. That agentic self-service experience also needs that hyper-personalization aspect of it. It should be aware that I have water damage coverage as part of my policy. It shouldn't be a, hey, we're going to try it, it fails, okay, then I need to escalate to a human. It should validate that. And then also thinking about model and voice options. So, there are some models that are extremely fast that are not very smart. And you have to be very explicit when you're prompting it on what to do in certain scenarios. But then there's other models that you're going to have higher latency, but it's going to be able to dynamically react in a better way. And how this works on the Connect side, and hopefully that's not too small, is we have this concept of an Connect AI agent. And within that Connect AI agent, you configure your prompt, you configure any guardrails that you want to put, and then you configure the tools that it has access to. So within that Connect AI agent, there's that reasoning loop of, okay, based off of what the customer said, the context that I've been provided about them, let me try to fulfill what they're trying to do. Now, how on the Connect side we give access to your ecosystem is via Agent Core Gateway. Not going to go into Agent Core and what it is, but high level, think of it as just building blocks in the Agentic system that you can build different applications. And the gateway serves as the library of tools that is available to an agent. That could live in Agent Core, could live in Connect AI agents. And Agent Core Gateway allows you to connect to Lambdas, API gateway endpoints. You can give it an open API schema or point it to an MCP server. So that's how you make your Connect AI agent aware of what's in your ecosystem. So I'll give you an example. Work with a lot of insurance companies. They always have like an API for policy lookup. That would go through Agent Core Gateway. They might need to build a Lambda to connect to that API, or they might just be able to give it the open API schema. The idea here is that you have choice. Also, a lot of insurance companies have a claims API where you can look up a claim status. Agent Core Gateway is how your Connect AI agent gets access to that. But two important things to call out. On the top, you see guardrails. This is all around, the compliance aspect of it. Like there are things that you don't want your agentic experience to speak about depending on your industry. So for example, insurance. You don't want a customer to say, hey, based off of the data that you see, how's it looking for my claim? Is it going to be approved? Like, give me your opinion on it. You never want your AI agent to do that because I don't even know what the laws are for that if that's legally binding. But the idea with guardrails is you can put those on top of the agent so it knows, okay, before it even hits the agent's chain of thought, stop it and reprompt the customer for a different question. So guardrails, if you work with Bedrock, it's the same exact concept on the Connect AI agent side. We're trying to block either inputs or outputs based off of certain criteria. And then on the bottom there, it's kind of hard to see, but we've got our traditional Amazon Lex spot. Think about that as our deterministic flow. Hey, they say they need to make a bill payment. The AI agent's done. We're going to move to the Lex spot now because it's going to be 100% deterministic every single time. So let's actually hear what this sounds like in action.
Hi, this is Alex with On the Wire Insurance. How can I help you today?
I need a new quote for auto insurance. My phone number is 555-490-7840.
Got it. Let me look up your account with that number. Perfect. I found your account, Frodo Baggins. Before we get started, let me check if you have any quotes in progress. Great, Frodo. Let's get you a fresh quote. I'll need some info about your driver's license first. What's your license number?
So about 5 different things happened there just in that first 10 seconds of the conversation. It listened to my phone number. It looked up to see, do I have an active account? And I did, Frodo Baggins. And then it looked to see, do I have any active quotes that I could be calling in about? So it's actively calling those APIs in the background. And whenever you think contact center, you think latency. You kind of heard some of that little fluttering noise. That's one way on the Connect side that we can kind of fill in that noise when the agent's actually going through its chain of thought. Or if there's a tool call, that takes 5-10 seconds, you can kind of fill it in with that noise. But I just said pretty much 2 statements, and it made about 5 or 6 different API calls based off of that. So let's continue on and see how this conversation goes.
VC1000.
Got it. And is your license from Ohio?
Yes.
Perfect. How many accidents have you had in the last 5 years?
None.
And how many violations in the last 5 years?
And I'm just going to pause there because all of the data that it's asking for wasn't in my prompt. It was getting that from the API that it was looking at to say, okay, here's what I actually need in order to create a new quote. So it's following up my API schema and is actually, guiding the conversation based off of that. Now you can control it in the prompt if you want, of like, here's how you ask for this, here's how you ask for this. But the agent can also autonomously kind of figure out, okay, here's how I need to ask. So when we think about agentic AI in the contact center, like the end customer is just one aspect of it. What about your human agent that's actually servicing this customer? Imagine if they had like a sidecar that was listening into the conversation, making recommendations on what to ask, or saying, hey, I can actually make that API call for you. You don't have to bring up that web form and say, hey, customer, hold on for 5 minutes while this page loads. And that's where on the Connect side, we have this concept of Connect AI agents that do agent assist. And the idea here is that just what we built on the self-service side, that can also be a sidecar that's sitting in that conversation and listening to that audio in real time and making recommendations. So for example, I've had some customers that have trained their agent assist capabilities on their best agents. They took their best agent scripts and they turned that into prompts so that while the customer's talking, it says, hey, this is what Bob would say in this scenario, human agent. Say this to the customer. Or it could be actually making API calls. Hey, the customer just asked to look up their policy. I've got their phone number. Do you want me to go ahead and do that for you? And I could just say yes, and it would go and actually do that. So thinking about how we can not only build that agentic AI experience with the end customer, but also for your human agents as well that have a sidecar. So this helps with things like, hey, we've got a new agent that doesn't know our ecosystem. They've read through the scripts, they know all, they've read as much as they can from our manuals, but they're basically starting off from square zero. This agent assist can help guide that agent on, okay, here's what you should say, here's the things that I can do, etc. And I just kind of summarized it there, but like, what is Agent Assist? It's listening into the conversation. It's making suggestive responses. It can do things like pull from a RAG, vector database that you might have of like, hey, frequently asked questions, like, hey, how long does a claim take? And it can also do things like automated note taking too. So it can summarize what the human and the customer talked about as part of that post-contact work. So let's actually see what this looks like in action here.
My son uses the apartment.
Just open that claim. Okay, that's your policy ID or address.
All right, so just to level set, this is the view of a contact center agent that is taking the call. So I'm the one being the human agent, and here's where the sidecar aspect of it comes in on the right here. This is where all of the agentic capabilities is going to happen.
Got it. All right. So how can I help you today, sir?
Yeah, unfortunately, I need to file a claim.
Oh, whoops.
That claim.
I need to file a claim.
All right. So you saw there on the bottom, it's saying request to file a claim for an apartment in Chicago. You didn't get to see it just because it's a long video, but during the conversation, we had discussed that this was about a buddy of mine's Chicago apartment. The AI agent's already aware of that. So it's saying, okay, this is a claim about the Chicago apartment, because it's keeping that context throughout the entire conversation. So when it recommends to file a claim, it's going to guide me on here's the questions to ask the customer.
That's no problem at all. We can go ahead and open that claim for you. So could you start off by giving me a description of what happened, like what damage or incident occurred, the date that this happened, and then just the type of, damage that it was. Was it fire, water, wind? If you could kind of give an overview of that, that would be great.
Those are variables to an API. It is describing in natural language to the human what to ask the customer. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry. All right. So let's see what happens when he describes it in natural language.
Sure. So I wasn't there myself. My son uses the apartment in Chicago. He had some friends over, and apparently there was a small kitchen fire. And although they put it out quickly, the fire department was called. They needed to check it. They didn't spray any water anywhere or anything like that. But they put the fire out quickly, but there was both flame and smoke damage to the backsplash behind the stove, pretty extensive.
All right. So let me go ahead and get all of that documented and submitted for you. So just to read this back to you, this is all about a kitchen fire that happened, some damage to the...
So I'm going to pause it there just because we're kind of tight on time. But it picked up 2 out of 3 of the variables because my friend did not say when this claim happened. So it's kind of hard to read there, but you'll see that it's saying, I just need the lost date. When did this event or claim occur? So it's making suggestions there, and it's saying, hey, based off what the customer said, we got 2 out of 3 variables, but you need to ask for that last variable again. And if we had time, what ends up happening is he tells me, hey, it was yesterday, and it goes ahead and submits that claim. I didn't have to hit any claim system as the human agent. It was all done natural language. I'm the one asking the questions, and the agent in the background is the one actually making the API calls. And there is that human in the loop because I had to click on that suggestion for it to actually make that API call. So I'm kind of tight on time here, but I do want to call out that all of that agentic capability you just saw has observability. I cannot tell you how many times I've been on calls with customers and they're building out these contact center experiences and they say, why did the agent say this? Or why did the agent do that? Okay. So we get all the logs, and ultimately here's what it should look like in the future. So where a AI agent is actually proactively reaching out to the customer. Like in this case, a water sensor goes off in their basement. The Connect AI agent reaches out to the customer and says, hey, I noticed you have some water damage. I see it's covered, and it starts the claim process. So nope, you're fine. So thank you everyone for your time.